You can now feel the power of your fruit and see if there are any new changes. Crocodile said to Bentham. Are there any other abilities? Let me see. Bentham closed his eyes and carefully felt the changes in his body. 10 seconds later, when he opened his eyes again, his face was filled with indescribable joy. Everyone, watch this, said Bentham, and patted his cheek lightly, and his whole body turned into Gem. In terms of appearance, clothing and temperament, he was no different from Gem. This isn't much different from your previous abilities, Gem said with some disdain. Really, how about this trick? Bentham, who turned into Gem, curled up his thick lips and said with an evil smile. Nose cannon. Bentham dug out a piece of disgusting black booger from his nostril and flicked it away with his finger. Immediately afterwards, there was a loud bang, and it turned into a powerful bomb that exploded in the distance. How is this possible? How do you have my abilities? Gem said in shock. It's too early to be surprised now. Bentham slapped himself on the face again, and then turned into Bonus. Spiral / Bentham arms were covered with rotating blades on one arm. Bonus couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat upon seeing this. The sky ability was too outrageous. Ha ha ha. See, this is my new ability now. I can imitate everything others do. Bentham laughed proudly with his hands on his hips. Just as I thought. Crocodile felt very satisfied with the awakening of Bentham's ability. Okay, be quiet, Beb, come up. Crocodile spoke to stop Bentham from showing off. Beb shook his fat body, came to Crocodile with a nervous expression, and also knelt on one knee. He was also very much looking forward to what his boss would turn him into. He also has a dream of becoming a strong man in his heart. Beb has extremely powerful strength, which may have reached the level of high-level strength, so this part of the money can be saved. In addition to not eating the devil fruit, Crocodile upgrade plan for it is 2-color domineering, constitution, physical fitness, physical skills, and 6 styles. Among them, physical fitness is advanced, and other items are intermediate. In addition, Crocodile also plans to find a sea stone bat for him, which will make him a nightmare for fruit ability users. Thank you, boss. Although Bibu is simple-minded, it does not mean he is stupid. He can fully feel the changes in his body. He was not very good at speaking, so he could only express his gratitude to Crocodile in this simplest way. Next was Gem. After seeing Bentham's amazing performance just now, his heart was already pounding with excitement. Crocodile arrangement with Gem is very similar to that of Foncre. His fruit ability has the same great potential as Bentham, and if developed properly, it will be able to cause great destructive power. When the power of the bomb reaches a certain level, even the 4 emperors will find it difficult to withstand it. Therefore, his strengthening route is 6 styles: fruit awakening, 2-color domineering, physical skills, physique, and physical fitness. But after the strengthening of Gem was completed, this guy continued to kneel on the ground motionless. It over and you can go down now, Crocodile said somewhat strangely. My boss told everyone to stay away from me. I felt like I was about to explode. Hurry up, I can't control myself anymore, Gem said to Crocodile in a hurried voice, his face full of sweat. Everyone, disperse quickly. The farther away the better. Crocodile did not dare to delay and quickly shouted at everyone to disperse. Gardino set up a wall of candles in front of everyone. Then he stomped his feet and countless yellow sands rolled up from the ground, tightly surrounding Gem and forming a huge sand dune. Even so, Crocodile was still not satisfied and made circles of sand around it. After just a few breaths, a loud bang was heard. A huge explosion occurred at the place where Gem was just now, and a mushroom cloud rose directly. The sand dunes that had just surrounded Gem were also shaken and scattered all over the sky. The sand and gravel, which contained enormous energy, almost pierced through Gardino candle wall. It was a long time before someone dared to stick his head out to observe the situation. The ears of everyone present were buzzing. Some timid people even felt like they were about to lose their souls. What on earth is going on? It's so scary. If the boss hadn't reminded us to disperse, I am afraid there wouldn't be any bones left of us now. That afro must have been reduced to ashes. Right? How could anyone survive such a powerful explosion? There was still thick black smoke filling the arena, and no one could see clearly what was happening inside. It was not until Crocodile waved his hand to blow away the smoke that everyone saw a huge pit with a diameter of tens of meters in the center of the venue. Crocodile used his observation haki to sense that Gem was still standing in the pit, but he still hurried forward to check. Gem was seen standing at the bottom of the huge pit unharmed, staring at his hands in a daze. "Hey, are you okay?" Crocodile asked with a concerned look on his face. "I am fine, thank you, boss. I never thought that I could be so powerful," Gem said in a serious tone, not knowing what he was thinking. "Can you control yourself now? Will you not explode again?" Crocodile asked again. "Don't worry, I can completely control myself." Gem raised his head and said. Crocodile felt relieved when he heard him say that. "Crocodile, why can he make useless people become so powerful?" Enel looked incredulous at this time. "Giving a person such terrifying power, isn't this something only God can do? If he is God, then what am I, a clown?" Enel fell into deep self-doubt. Crocodile felt a headache looking at the big pit in the venue. It was newly built and had never been used once. "Okay, let's go to the other side and continue." Shaking his head helplessly, Crocodile asked everyone to move to another place. Next is Mikita, whose fruit ability is the float fruit, which sounds very similar to Golden Lion float fruit. But the float fruit can make anything float, but the light float fruit can only change its own weight. Crocodile also has certain expectations for this fruit. If used properly, it will surely be able to achieve great things in physical skills. As for the changes of this fruit after awakening, according to the characteristics of the superhuman fruit, it can change the weight of surrounding objects. However, this feature doesn't seem to bring much improvement to one's strength, so let's just put it aside for now. However, after Mikita's physical skills were improved, he could constantly switch his own weight during the battle, which required a very high physical fitness, and he must have extremely strong hardness, otherwise he will end up with broken legs like Sanji did when he fought Virgo. Crocodile enhancements for Wichita are 6 styles, 2 color hockey, advanced physical fitness, and intermediate physical fitness, physical skills, and strength. "Thank you, boss." After feeling the changes in herself, Michita jumped up with joy, hugged Crocodile neck, and kissed him hard on the face. Crocodile felt a little embarrassed in front of so many people and could only cover it up with 2 dry coughs. "Boss, take a look at my ability." 1 kilogram. Michita smiled mischievously, then took the moon step and ran straight to the sky. She reduced her weight to the minimum, and even made her moon step look like she was shaving. The people present could only see a flickering after image in the sky. 10,000 kilograms. Then she stopped her body in midair, let out a delicate cry, then spun rapidly and began to fall. She fell heavily to the ground like a human missile. There was another loud bang, and a big hole appeared on the ground again. Luo twitched his lips helplessly. This arena was really unlucky today. "How is the boss very powerful?" Wichita came in front of Crocodile in a few flashes and said as if asking for credit. "There doesn't seem to be any difference between what you did here and your previous moves." Seeing her so proud, Crocodile couldn't help but pour a basin of cold water on her. Not getting any praise from her boss, Michita couldn't help but pout. "Your physical skills are now advanced. Why not integrate the power of the fruit into your physical skills?" Crocodile continued to give advice. "You are worthy of being the boss." Michita's eyes lit up immediately when he heard that. Finally, only Sarah, Dorothy and Marianne were left. As for the crocodile fruit abilities of Sarah and Dorothy, there is no further potential for development, and no special strengthening direction has been set. So he decided to strengthen both of their projects to the intermediate level. As for Marianne, Crocodile did not intend to make her a combatant, so he only strengthened one of her 6 skills so that she would have a certain ability to protect herself. In this way, all the senior agents have completed their enhancement. The next to be strengthened were 14 mid-level agents. Crocodile divides these 14 people into 3 categories based on their respective characteristics: gunners, swordsmen and physical fighters. There are 3 gunners in total, and the enhancement items are dual color domineering, physical fitness, archery and 6 styles, among which archery is intermediate and the others are elementary. There are also 3 swordsmen, and the enhancement items are 2 color domineering, strength, swordsmanship, and 6 styles. Among them, swordsmanship is intermediate, and the others are all elementary. The most people use physical skills, a total of 8 people, and the items are 2 color domineering, physical skills, constitution, and 6 styles. Among them, physical skills are intermediate, and the others are elementary. Finally, there are 200 billionaires, whose enhancements are unified into 6 styles. Even if there is only this one item, it is enough to make these people's strength have a qualitative leap. Compared with the previous small characters, it is completely incomparable. This round of strengthening for everyone cost a total of more than 25 billion Baileys, which once again drained the huge sum of money that Crocodile had just received. Crocodile has also tried its best to optimize the strengthening direction of each person, and it can be said that it has made the most of the money. The 200 or so people present are currently the most elite forces under Crocodile. But with this kind of strengthened scale, whether it is the top combat power or the middle level, it is still not enough in front of the 4 emperors. Not to mention compared with the Navy. Crocodile still has a long way to go before it has the power to change the world. Many people may be confused about the powers they have just gained, and don't understand what these powers are and what they can do. Next, I will give you a brief lesson. Crocodile spoke loudly to the people who were discussing enthusiastically in the venue. In this world, there are 2 ways to become strong. One is taking a devil fruit, and the other is possessing Haki. Devil fruit can determine a person's lower limit, while Haki determines his upper limit. Devil fruits can only be obtained by very few lucky people, but Haki is something everyone is born with, but it has not been guided out. Haki can restrain devil fruit users to a great extent, but users with Haki will be more powerful. But no matter what abilities one has, if one really wants to become stronger, it still depends on one's determination and perseverance. Just like the pirate King Roger, he did not take the devil fruit, but just relied on his strong domineering and ultimate swordsmanship to stand at the top of the world. So, as long as you have a desire to become stronger, you can become strong. There are 3 types of Haki: observation Haki, armament Haki, and conqueror Haki. Basic observation Haki can predict the enemy next move through their aura, and use it to dodge their attacks. If you practice it to the extreme, you can even briefly see the future. After wrapping the armament Haki around your body or weapon, you can not only harden your body to block the enemy attack, but also greatly increase your own attack power. Unless someone Haki is stronger than yours, most attacks are just tickling in front of the hardened armament Haki. Especially for natural ability users who cannot be harmed by ordinary attacks, possessing armament Haki can capture their physical bodies. And if you want to make your domineering aura stronger, there is only one way, and that is to continuously engage in high-intensity battles and squeeze your domineering aura to the extreme. Now, I have taught most of the company's senior and mid-level agents the observation Haki and armament Haki. The rest of the billion elders only learned a type of taijutsu from the Navy called 6 styles. Don't underestimate the 6 styles. They are very comprehensive. It contains all the abilities of attack, defense, evasion, burst, and flight. It is enough to turn an ordinary person into a superhuman being. More importantly, the 6 styles can be used as a key to unlock Haki. As long as you practice hard, everyone can awaken Haki. After listening to Crocodile words, everyone present suddenly became enlightened, as if the door to a new world had been opened. It turns out that this is the path to becoming a strong person. Before, they could only be described as frogs in a well. At the same time, these people immediately understood what a valuable fortune their boss had bestowed upon them. Thank you, boss, for imparting such a powerful ability to us. Crocodile voice had just paused for 2 seconds when a billionaire suddenly cried out. The boss is so generous, I can only repay him with my life. We will never let down the abilities that the boss has given me. One day, I can become a powerful high-level agent. The scene suddenly became heated again, especially those hundreds of millions of elders, who swore and swore one after another, causing a burst of crying. Crocodile current observation hockey is already extremely strong, although he does not have the ability to see through other people's thoughts and sense their emotions like the mind net or the voice of all things. But I can also vaguely sense which people are sincere and which are fake. The result made him very satisfied. After all, in this world where human life is worthless, it is not an exaggeration to say that they are his reborn parents who can give an ordinary person powerful martial arts. Okay, calm down. I feel everyone kindness. Just work hard in the future. Next, I will show you the actual combat effect of domineering. Enel, aren't you going to challenge me now? We can begin. Enel was still chewing over what Crocodile had just said. His understanding of domineering is not much better than those other newbies. If it weren't for what Crocodile just said, he would have thought that he would become as strong as Crocodile if he just had armament hockey. At this point, how could he not understand that the fact that Crocodile could talk about these extremely valuable things in front of so many people only showed that he had enough confidence and strength to support it? Crocodile challenge immediately made Enel back off. Wouldn't it be like sending himself to be beaten for nothing? Hiss. Boss, I seem to have eaten something bad, and my stomach hurts so much now. It seems that I can't continue to challenge you today, Enel said while pretending to hold his stomach. Crocodile, who was unbuttoning his shirt, was stunned when he heard this. Why did this guy suddenly become a coward if he doesn't fight? Who can I find as a sparring partner? Glancing at his group of senior agents, Crocodile suddenly had a bold idea. Why not let them attack together? That way they can know the gap between themselves and the top experts. Crocodile took off his clothes and handed them to the little Lemurian who was standing beside him obediently, revealing his angular and strong muscles. How about this? Except for Marion, all of you attack me together. You are allowed to use any means. Crocodile pointed at Bonus and others and said, Boss, are you sure we are very strong now? Misita put her hands on her hips and looked proud. Yes, Mr. Zero, I would be sad if I hurt you. Bentham looked at Crocodile with some concern. That right, boss. Our current strength is far different from what it was before. It would be too unfair to you, Bonus said sincerely. Haha, you little brats. Don't think you can get away with it just because you have a little bit of strength. Today I will make you understand the gap between you and the top strong men, so that you won't be ignorant of your own limitations and go out to offend people you shouldn't offend and lose your life. Crocodile sneered and shook his head. They looked at each other and finally nodded. Boss, we are in trouble, Gardino said after taking a deep breath. Seeing that Crocodile was so arrogant as to let so many people attack him together, Enel could not miss such a good opportunity for revenge, and the pain in his stomach immediately stopped. Boss, my stomach is a little better now, how about adding me? Come on. Crocodile hooked his finger at him. Shave Bonus took the lead. His hands turned into sharp blades and in the blink of an eye he flashed in front of Crocodile and slashed at him. Everyone, watch carefully. What I am going to show you now is the advanced use of observation hockey. Crocodile activated Meet the Future, and Bonus' attack was immediately exposed, and he easily dodged it by twisting his body continuously. When the others saw Bonus taking action, they stopped being polite and rushed towards Crocodile. Crocodile was suddenly surrounded by fist shadows, kick shadows, and knife shadows. While Crocodile used his observation hockey to its full potential, he also used Shave to its full potential. As he moved around, several people were completely unable to capture his position. How is it possible? How is it possible that I can't touch him at all? Enel became more and more frightened as the fight went on. His mind network could see through the other party inner thoughts. However, the opponent always managed to dodge his attacks unexpectedly. This feeling was very strange and made him very uncomfortable. It was as if there was a time gap between the opponent thoughts and the position he was attacking, which always made him several beats slower. If it were anyone else, they would have been hit a few times under such intensive attacks. However, his observation hockey has reached the level of foreseeing the future, which is like cheating. With an attack like this, he can't even touch Crocodile hair. You are so weak. If you don't try your best, you won't have any chance at all. Crocodile taunted them while dodging. Scatter, I will limit the space. Gardino was the first one who couldn't hold back and started using the power of his devil fruit. With a wave of his hands, a huge amount of milky white candles surrounded Crocodile. Crocodile showed no sign of panic and stood still. Next, I will show you the defensive capabilities of armament hockey. After Gardino action, Gem was not to be outdone. After grabbing a handful of small gravel from the ground, there was a series of bang 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 sounds under his feet, and the impact force of the explosion directly pushed him into the sky. Starry sky, Gem shouted loudly after throwing the gravel in his hand towards Crocodile. Crocodile saw this and did not dodge, allowing the rubble to approach him. Boom 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 boom. Dozens of explosions sounded around him. Surrounded by the Gardino candle wall in a small space, it was completely covered in black smoke. Enel also did not miss this good opportunity and locked Crocodile position with his heart network. 100 million volts, discharged countless blinding lightning bolts emanated from his bombs, completely enveloping Crocodile. The powerful electric current blasted a big hole in the ground, and the candle walls that were splashed were melted by the high temperature. Did you succeed? Is it impossible to dodge this time? Even the boss wouldn't be able to handle such an attack. Everyone stared at the black smoke, but what they didn't expect was that when the black smoke gradually dissipated, the figure of Crocodile gradually appeared. But I saw that man, his whole body covered with black and purple armament color domineering, standing there like a god of war. Enel, your lightning is a very good choice for massage. It makes my whole body numb and comfortable, Crocodile said in a relaxed tone. How is this possible? He is unharmed. Enel's eyes bulged out of their sockets in shock. Is this the defensive power of armament hockey? With such tremendous power, ordinary people would have been reduced to ashes long ago. Bonus forehead was covered with cold sweat. My previous move wasn't my strongest. Try to take this human bomb from me. Gem was now very confident in his own strength, and he rushed towards Crocodile again unwillingly. The situation on the battlefield changes rapidly. A powerful enemy will not easily give you a chance to attack him. Next, I will let you feel how powerful the attack power of armament hockey and 6 styles is. It will be a bit painful, so please bear with it. At this point, Crocodile tone immediately became cruel. He wanted to teach these people a lesson and give them a goal to chase. Swept kick facing Gem, who was sprinting towards him at full speed. Crocodile didn't want to give him the chance to get close to him. His observation hockey had already foreseen that a huge explosion would occur the moment he touched this sky. More than 10 huge slashing waves suddenly came out from Crocodile feet, completely blocking the space around Gem where he could hide. What? Gem didn't expect Crocodile to use such an attack method. With nowhere to hide, he could only cover his arms and front body with armed color to take the attack. But Crocodile basic attributes now, except for agility, have all been maxed out, and his physique and strength can be described as a monster. How could anyone catch the kick he gave? As soon as it made contact, Gem felt an unparalleled force, carrying an extremely strong cutting force, which instantly tore through his defense and knocked him flying backwards. After 3 consecutive slashing waves hit Gem, long bloody wounds appeared on his arms and chest. Fortunately, thanks to the protection of the hardened armament color, the wound was not too deep. But at this moment, Gem no longer had the mood to fight with his boss again, and sat down dejectedly against the wall of the arena. It not like we are fighting to the death. Isn't the boss too cruel? Seeing Gem's miserable condition, Michita immediately felt fear in her heart. After dealing with Gem, Crocodile flashed and came directly in front of Michita, who was in a daze. The two were so close that they were almost sticking together. Michita's eyes went dark. She had never expected that the person who was dozens of meters away from her a second ago would appear in front of her the next moment. At such a close distance, Crocodile powerful pressure almost suffocated her. Distracting during a battle can be fatal, Michita, Crocodile said in a nonchalant tone. Michita, who lacked combat experience, was overwhelmed by Crocodile momentum and her body was completely out of control, unable to even move. Wait a minute, she just said with a trembling voice. Crocodile punched her in the stomach without showing any mercy just because she was a woman. Ugh! A large amount of blood gushed out of Wichita's mouth, and she fell to the ground, holding her stomach. If you were the enemy, you would be dead now. I hope you remember this lesson. Crocodile shook his head somewhat dissatisfiedly. He still had too little practical experience and needed to practice more in the future. Everyone gathered together and don't let him defeat them one by one. After 2 people were killed in a few breaths, Enel couldn't help but shout anxiously. Everyone thought what he said made sense and quickly approached with Enel as the center. Not bad, that's some progress, but of little use in the face of absolute power. Crocodile nodded in appreciation, then struck again. As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed towards the group of people. Bonus was the first to come forward. This guy's swordsmanship had reached an advanced stage, and his level was almost the same as Zoro, who had just finished 2 years of training. Crocodile was unwilling to take the attack head-on, so he quickly dodged with multiple shaving blows to avoid his slashing blows. During this time, he took the opportunity to kick Gardino, who had transformed into the Super Champion Cup, with a Rusakura kick, causing him to spit blood and fly backwards. The more they fought with the boss, the more desperate they became. Not only could they not touch each other, but even if they attacked him, it was like scratching an itch and did no harm at all. Meanwhile, the number of people around them was decreasing one by one. There are no fancy moves, just the simplest punches and kicks. Another dozen breaths passed, and the only ones who could continue fighting Crocodile were Bonus and Enel. The former body is originally as hard as steel, and with the hardening of armament color, its defense is amazing. The latter relied on his super high speed to narrowly avoid Crocodile attacks time and time again. How can there be such a monster in the world? There is no possibility of defeating him. Enel shouted in despair. As far as I know, there are about a dozen people who are stronger than me, and there are about the same number of people who are close to me. You are all people I have chosen, and you have great potential. You may be able to reach my level in the future. However, you guys are still too lacking in practical experience right now, Crocodile said with a faint smile. There are so many people as powerful as you. Enel was obviously shocked. He didn't expect that he, who was the king of the White Sea, would be so weak after coming to King High. I don't want to fight anymore. I give up. Enel's mood suddenly became a little depressed. No, no, no. I can't admit defeat. Everyone has been beaten, and if I let you two go, I am afraid people will scold me as an unfair boss, Crocodile said, waving his finger. Then come on, it's just a beating, it's not like you haven't been beaten before. Enel suddenly got angry and came over like lightning with his stick in hand. Due to the influence of other people just now, Crocodile failed to accurately capture his position. Now Enel rushed up alone, which was exactly what Crocodile wanted. After foreseeing the future and seeing his exact movement, he swung his fist filled with domineering aura and hit Enel right in the cheek. Enel was seen flying out like a rag doll, bouncing on the ground several times before stopping. There was only one bonus left. Crocodile chuckled and said, "Let's finish it quickly. Everyone must be hungry." The dark-skinned bonus said expressionlessly, "Okay." Then he rushed forward, brandishing a sharp blade, and collided with Crocodile. Although he was struggling under Crocodile Iron Fist, he was the one who persisted the longest among all the others. When he fell to the ground with a bruised face, everyone who was still watching swallowed their saliva. "How do you feel after watching it? Do you know where you are?" Crocodile turned and said to the rest of the people sitting in the audience. After seeing their boss' brutal methods, no one dared to say a word. Starting this month, the company will implement a new promotion system. The 200 billionaire elders who have no missions, and the 1,800 millionaire elders, will have qualifying rounds on the last 4 days of each month. The top 50 millionaires each month will have the opportunity to be promoted to billionaires. The top 10 of the billionaire elders will have the right to challenge the mid-level agents. They only need to defeat any one of them to be promoted to a mid-level agent. As long as a mid-level agent is confident in his or her own abilities, he or she can directly challenge a senior agent. As long as he or she wins, he or she can be promoted to the next level. Every time you advance to a higher level, you will gain stronger abilities. At the same time, we will also start recruiting new million elders. When the people in the field heard the new system announced by Crocodile, They immediately jumped and shouted excitedly, and they couldn't wait to start the game. The original promotion method of Baroque works was very cruel. Only when there was a vacancy in the superior position, that is, after his death, would the subordinates have the opportunity to be promoted. Many people would even kill their colleagues or superiors in order to get promoted. Now this new rule obviously gives everyone the opportunity to become strong. How can they not be excited? In these troubled times, many people may only need a noble person to give them a chance to soar to the sky. Oh, by the way, there is one more conqueror hockey that I forgot to tell you about just now. I must let you experience it. Crocodile looked at the excited people in the field, and a hint of evil humor suddenly flashed through his mind. The domineering aura has a very strong deterrent power. There are only a dozen people in this world who possess this kind of aura. Moreover, it is an innate ability that cannot be acquired through practice. With this kind of domineering power, you have the qualifications to become a king. You must feel it carefully. If you encounter an enemy with this kind of momentum in the future, it is best to run as far away as possible. As soon as he finished speaking, Crocodile's face turned serious, and the moment his eyes widened, an extremely strong mental shockwave spread rapidly with Crocodile as the center. Everyone present, except Marion, felt a buzzing sound in their brains. Except for the middle and senior level agents, all of them fainted with their eyes rolled back. Moreover, even the mid-level agents were staggering and could only hold on to prevent themselves from fainting. What a terrifying power! Enel's face turned pale as he felt the powerful mental force constantly attacking him. I will never be able to defeat this man in my entire life. This was the only thought in his mind now. But, as long as I follow him, I can also become extremely powerful. I want to become a god at this moment. Enel, who had been hit by Crocodile one after another, finally figured everything out and decided to follow Crocodile's footsteps wholeheartedly. Seeing that his goal had been achieved, Crocodile immediately withdrew his magical powers. He was very satisfied with the few people who were still awake at the scene, who were looking at him with disbelief. Okay. That's all for today. I will have someone arrange a dinner at the Royal Holiday Hotel later, and you can eat as much as you want when you get there. Crocodile smiled, took the clothes from the dazed Marianne, put them on, and left the arena alone. Grand Line, Kingdom of Illusia. Mr. Waffle, here are today newspapers. Dude, the butler with silver curly hair and a black tuxedo, respectfully handed a stack of newspapers to a middle-aged man in luxurious clothes. The middle-aged man called Mr. Waffle was not tall, slightly fat, and had two curved mustaches. He is the richest man in the country and owns enormous assets. Yeah, Waffle nodded and casually unfolded the newspaper in his hand. When did such a city appear in Alabasta? Waffle suddenly sat up straight, obviously very interested in the content of the newspaper. Casinos, hotels, large shopping malls, amusement parks, and bath centers. The architectural style here seems to be consistent with Alabasta characteristics from the outside, but the furnishings here are refreshing. They look simple, yet they exude luxury everywhere. The casino will give away 10,000 Baileys for every 10,000 Baileys you deposit. There is no upper limit. Spend 10,000 yuan at the mall and get 5,000 yuan for free. He whose brainless person came up with this idea is the operator. Stupid. Isn't it obvious that this is a losing business? Even if it is to attract customers, they can't lose sight of the main goal. Waffles couldn't help but sneer. The World Economic Times has always published news on major events of great significance, but I didn't expect that this time it used 4 pages to introduce this city. Waff has been in business for many years, but he has never seen such a funny way of doing business. Based on his experience, this is clearly a fool giving away money. It would be a waste if you don't take advantage of this kind of wool. The more Huafu looked at it, the more excited he felt. He couldn't help but say with a sinister smile, "This time, let me, Waffle, teach you a good lesson. Let you people behind Aiden know that this is not how business is done." Waffle was about to get up when he suddenly remembered something, sat back in his chair, and picked up the Den Den Mushi. Wait, for such a good thing, why not invite our partners from the Merchant Alliance to join us when everyone adds fuel? The flames will rise higher. The Grand Route, an unknown sea area. Captain, look at this city. It seems to be very rich, a pirate holding a newspaper said excitedly to his bearded captain. The bearded man snatched the newspaper from the pirate hand and examined it. Not long after, the bearded man suddenly burst into laughter. Guys, a big deal has come our way. This may be the first battle that will make our White Bear pirates famous in the Grand Line. Navigator, helmsman, turn around and head for Alabasta. We are going to rob this city called Eden. At the same time, many pirate groups that had just entered the Grand Line began to change their course and head towards Alabasta after seeing this news. Marine Vando, Naval Headquarters. Alabasta has built such a prosperous city in such a short time. This must be the work of Crocodile. Sengoku frowned and pondered while holding the newspaper. Well, as long as he doesn't cause trouble, isn't it good for such a powerful pirate to settle down and do business honestly? Garp said indifferently while picking his nose. But after seeing this news, I always feel a little uneasy in my heart. What going on? Sengoku rubbed his brows in distress. No, we must send someone to go deep into Baroque works, otherwise we will never understand Crocodile's true intentions. After thinking for a while, Sengoku slapped the table and made a decision immediately. He picked up the Den Mushi and dialed a number. I am Sengoku. I am applying to send a secret agent to conduct an infiltration investigation into the mysterious organization Baroque Works. This organization is completely controlled by Crocodile. Its recent actions have become increasingly bizarre. We have to be on guard, Sengoku said in a deep voice. I understand. I will send someone over. A very attractive male voice came from the other end of the phone. New World, Golden City. Lord Tesoro, Mr. Tanaka has news to report to you. A sexy brown-haired beauty handed the Den Mushi to Tesoro. Tanaka, did you get the gold? Asked Tesoro, who was wearing a pink suit and had an arrogant look on his face. Yes, Lord Tesoro. There is another situation that needs to be reported. Crocodile has also built a super large entertainment city in Alabasta with similar functions to ours. I am afraid it will steal a lot of our customers. The Catman Tanaka said sinisterly. Oh, this is really unpleasant news. This world only needs one golden city. One more would be very troubling to me, Tesoro said in a grim tone. Lord Tesoro, why don't you let me go there for a visit, so as to bring some luck to the guests there? The brown-haired beauty said with a chuckle. Tesoro's eyes lit up when he heard that. Bakura, you are worthy of being my left and right arm. Ha 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 ha. Eden, Casino Royale top floor office. Crocodile stood in front of the French window, smoking a cigar, overlooking the city he had built. After a period of large-scale publicity, many tourists have arrived. The originally deserted city gradually became lively. The streets were not crowded, but there was a sense of hustle and bustle. Kosa, how was business yesterday? Crocodile asked without turning his head. Sir, the total number of people arriving at the port yesterday was 43,200. The occupancy rates of the 6 hotels were generally over 50%. And the shopping mall turnover was 467 million baileys. The casino turnover reached 1.651 billion baileys, and the rest of the business totaled 330 million baileys. Today total turnover is 2.448 billion baileys. Kosa reported respectfully while holding a folder. Vivi, what going on over there recently? Several countries have contacted me and are planning to organize groups to come for tourism and inspection. Tomorrow, a business delegation from the Kingdom of Elusia will arrive, and I expect the turnover to increase significantly. We can try our best to promote the villa area in the north to the wealthy businessmen and nobles who come here. The sales there will account for a large proportion of our future turnover. Crocodile nodded with satisfaction, and then gave serious instructions. Crocodile has been keeping an eye on Eden's recent business performance, and everything is developing steadily in the direction he originally envisioned. But he believes that this is just the beginning. Kosa, Vivi, what do you think of the city of Eden? Crocodile suddenly asked. My lord, A beautiful and prosperous city like Eden only appeared in my dreams before I saw it. I believe that soon it will become the most dazzling pearl in the world, illuminating the entire grand route." Tosa looked at Crocodile with admiration and exclaimed from the bottom of his heart, "My only idea now is to turn all the cities in Alabasta into Eden and make this country a true utopia." Vivi looked at the bustling metropolis outside the window, her eyes full of longing. "During this time, I have already imparted all the knowledge I have to you two. I don't know how much you two have understood, but soon you will have to shoulder some responsibilities." Crocodile turned and looked at the two people with surprised expressions. "Sir, I don't understand what you mean," Kasha asked puzzledly. "I plan to let you take over the position of Grand Archon, and Eden will be ruled by Vivi from now on." Crocodile took a puff of his cigar and said slowly, "What are you going to leave Alabasta?" Vivi's expression suddenly became a little flustered when she heard this. "I can't help it. The people there won't let a pirate like me be so glorious in public." Crocodile pointed to the ceiling mysteriously. "Where will you go after you leave? Are you planning to just walk away and abandon us?" Vivi lowered her head and spoke with a trembling body. Just then, a big hand touched Vivi's head, and her body immediately paused. "Don't worry, I am just hiding not far from you. This is my hard work. How can I just leave it alone? Even a villain has things he wants to protect." Crocodile comforted Vivi in a gentle tone. "Really?" Vivi raised her head pitifully. Crocodile's heart was moved by her tearful eyes. "I promise," Crocodile affirmed. "No. You have to make a pinky promise with me." The little girl expression changed instantly. She put one hand on her waist, stretched out her slender little finger in front of Crocodile and said coquettishly, "You must be joking. I am a Shichibuchi. How could I do such a childish thing?" Crocodile refused righteously. Kosa, who was standing aside, was sweating profusely when watching the scene between the two. He immediately looked at his nose with his eyes and his heart with his nose, treating himself as an invisible person. Seeing that Crocodile didn't agree, Vivi immediately bit her lower lip with a look of grievance. Her eyes turned red and she was about to start crying. "I am really scared of you. This is just the first time. It won't happen again." Crocodile turned his head helplessly and stretched out his little finger without even looking. Vivi wrinkled her nose in satisfaction and said, "Humphrey, you have lied to me before. Don't think I have forgotten it. If you lie to me again, I will never forgive you. Got it? Got it." Crocodile could only raise his hands in surrender. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, countless lightning snakes emitting dazzling blue light fell straight from the sky. Several people turned their heads and saw that the place where the lightning fell was right outside the Sea of Eden. "It seems that there are some unexpected guests," Crocodile said slowly. "The sea outside Eden." "Guys, speed up, don't let other pirate groups get ahead of us." On a pirate flagship, a man who looked like the captain stood at the bow and shouted with a scimitar in his hand. On another boat, a strong man with a curly beard shouted excitedly, "Brothers, charge quickly, pull all the robbed money and women onto the boat." This is a completely virgin land. Ha ha ha. In the sea area around these two ships, dozens of pirate ships of all sizes were seen riding the wind and waves and charging towards the port of Eden. Many merchant ships and cruise ships that were about to sail to Eden were horrified when they saw these sea pirates, and hurriedly adjusted their courses to head elsewhere. With so many pirates, I am afraid this city won't be spared. I read in the newspaper that this place is pretty good, and I wanted to come and have some fun. But I didn't expect to be targeted by these damn pirates so early on. What a beautiful city, what a shame. Where the Navy? Why doesn't it come and stop these pirates? Don't ask such stupid questions anymore. The Navy will come naturally after these pirates leave. Everyone on the boat was talking about it, feeling sorry for this beautiful city that had just been born. In front of a smaller dock not far from Eden Port, a strange ship inlaid with gold and with the word God written in large letters on it was quietly anchored on the beach. On the deck of the ship, Thunder God Daniel was lifting a barbell that was several times larger than his body, moving it up and down continuously. A lot of sweat had accumulated on the ground. At first his expression was normal, but as he kept lifting it, a hint of impatience gradually appeared on his face. Later, The expression on his face gradually became ferocious, with his eyes closed, brows furrowed, and teeth gnashing. This was his state at the moment. "It's so noisy. Who on earth is shouting and yelling? I just want to practice in peace for a while. Why do you have to disturb me?" Enel angrily threw the barbell heavily onto the soft cushion on the deck, and with a light tap of his feet, he turned into a stream of light and flew into the sky. "Captain, look there, a man floating in the sky!" a pirate shouted in panic, pointing at the sky. What the man called. The captain looked closely and saw that there was indeed a strange man floating in the air with his legs crossed. His expression immediately became serious. "He has been traveling in the Grand Line for many years, and the ability to float in the air at will is not something that everyone can possess." "Slow down, let me ask him what he wants to do," said the captain, waving his hand. "Sir, do you have any instructions for us since you're blocking our way?" the captain asked cautiously. "You bastards dare to covet Eden. You really don't know how to live or die. Disappear from my sight in 10 minutes. Otherwise, you will all be reduced to ashes," Enel said cruelly. He had already observed these people through his mind network, and found that their strength was average. He didn't know who gave them the courage to come here and take advantage of the situation. "Humphrey, you are so arrogant. We are all people who live with our heads hanging on the belts of our pants. If we are scared away by our words, how can we face people if the news gets out?" the pirate captain snorted coldly, obviously not taking Enel's words seriously. "Go to hell, you long-eared guy!" At this moment, a pirate gunman hiding in the corner suddenly fired, and the bullet accurately passed through Enel's forehead. Success! The gunman was delighted. However, the scene of the man with long earlobes falling into the sea did not occur as expected. "A person who has the ability of a natural devil fruit!" The captain's heart sank when he saw Enel being shot in the middle of the forehead but having no reaction. Being well informed, he knew exactly what level people with natural abilities were at. "Isn't it good to be alive? Why do you have to seek death?" Enel asked indifferently. Wait, we were wrong. Let's leave now, please." The captain knelt on the ground crying and stretched out his hands to beg. But his crew members were still confused and didn't understand why their captain suddenly knelt down to that man. "It's okay, just be more careful in your next life." The pirate groups that arrived later were still wondering why the leading ships suddenly stopped. "I could only vaguely see a strange man sitting cross-legged in the air, using a stick-like object in his hand to hit the small drum inserted behind his back." One by one, thunder. Those two words without any emotion became the last sounds these pirates heard in their lives. People around the dock of Edenport and on cruise ships and merchant ships in the nearby waters saw someone going alone to block the dozens of huge pirate ships. Everyone stopped and watched nervously. "Who is that man? Isn't he afraid of death? Anyone who can fly in the sky must be extraordinary. There are dozens of pirate ships and thousands of people. How can a human being be their opponent? God, I beg you to bless this brave man and let him escape unscathed from these heinous pirates. Who knows, maybe he an accomplice of those pirates." There were even some reporters who came to Eden for interviews, holding their cameras and taking pictures of this rare scene. Bang! A gunshot was faintly heard in the distance. Everyone suddenly panicked. Is that person going to die? However, surprisingly, the shot did not seem to hit the man, and he was still floating steadily in the air. Not long after, a blue light emanated from the man. But the following scene was something they would never forget. The man swung the small stick in his hand vigorously towards the pirates. The sky above the pirates' head suddenly became gloomy and covered with dark clouds. Immediately afterwards, countless blue lightning emitting dazzling light suddenly appeared from the clouds and shot towards the pirates on the ship. Lightning bolts, hundreds or even thousands of meters long and as thick as buckets, were like giant blue snakes, ready to swallow up all the people on the boat. This scene, which was like a natural disaster, frightened all the viewers speechless. The timid ones even began to flee in all directions, fearing that the ruthless thunders would smash them into powder and leave no trace. "Could that person be God?" someone asked in a trembling voice. The thunder was still bombarding the pirate ship. Perhaps the people on the ship had been killed and turned into ashes, so the thunder snakes turned their target to the ship itself. Seeing that the range of the lightning attack was limited to the sea area where the pirate ship was, The panicked crowd gradually calmed down. Isn't he the patron saint of this city? But I heard that the guardians of Alabasta are the jackal and the falcon. It seems that there is now another thunder god in Alabasta. Yes, isn't it the thunder god who can release such a terrifying sea of thunder that can destroy the heavens and the earth? Ina looked expressionlessly at the wreckage of the pirate ship floating on the sea, as well as the countless charred limbs and arms. The air was filled with a burnt smell. Last time, that candle man made more than 1,000 wax figures. I should be able to do much better than him, Onel muttered in a relaxed tone. It was as if the thousands of pirates he had just killed were like ants that were casually stepped on as he walked by. Oh no, that man seemed to have said that we should keep the nearby waters clean. Onel looked at the messy sea and suddenly remembered something. His face suddenly changed. Thinking of that guy's soul-stirring iron fist, Enel couldn't help but shudder. No, I have to go out and hide for a few days. There was a sudden crackling sound of electricity in his body and he disappeared into the sky in an instant. The people who were still watching from afar only saw a fleeting blue light in the sky. There was no trace of the person who had just caused such a tragedy. The cities and people who were about to be ravaged by pirates, when they saw that the crisis was resolved, immediately cheered and shouted the name of the thunder god. Thor, 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 some even said with tears streaming down their cheeks. If my country had such a patron saint back then, how could I have become an orphan? The reporter who used a high-powered lens to capture Enel being as indifferent as a god in front of Wanley kissed the photo in his hand with excitement on his face. This photo will definitely be on the headlines tomorrow, and maybe I will get a promotion and a raise because of it. Not long after, Crocodile, Vivi and others also arrived at the coast. Crocodile face looked extremely ugly when he saw the countless garbage debris floating in the sea. Enel, this guy, how dare he ignore my words? If I catch him, he will be dead. Vivi, quickly send people out to sea to catch all this garbage with fishing nets. Don't let any debris get close to the beach. Marine Headquarters, Maniford. Why is Alabasta always on the front page of the news recently? Does anyone know what this Thor is all about? Sengoku pointed at the picture in the newspaper and asked the people sitting on the sofa with a somewhat wooden expression. Thor, this name sounds a bit scary, Kizaru said in pretended fear. Thousands of pirates were wiped out in a very short period of time. This man is very dangerous. Okay, a new expression also looked a little solemn. Large-scale lightning attack. The newspaper also wrote that this person also has lightning speed. I think this person ability is very similar to Borsalino. He must also be a natural devil fruit user. Aokiji analyzed calmly with an expressionless face. It stands to reason that someone with this ability should have already become famous. Why didn't he show any signs of it before and he happened to appear in Eden? What is the relationship between this man and Crocodile? Sengoku said with a gloomy face. This is a piece of intelligence I just received yesterday. You can all take a look at it. Sengoku casually threw a stack of photos in front of the three generals. The photo was taken on an unknown seaside avenue, which is full of wax figures with various frightened expressions and movements. Among them is a giant crocodile with a body length of more than 10 meters, which looks lifelike, just like a living creature. This is a photo sent back from Eden. After careful comparison by intelligence personnel, we found that this is the giant crocodile pirates who committed a major crime in the North Sea some time ago. Sengoku slapped a wanted poster on the table, on which was clearly written a bounty of 210 million berries for Jeed. Two different people attacked and killed thousands of pirates in total. Both attacks were in Crocodile territory. If you say these two people have no connection with Crocodile, I absolutely don't believe it. HMPH. Isn't this one of the duties of the 7 warlords of the sea? I think what Crocodile did is very much to my liking. These scum on the sea should be killed completely. Okay, and you snorted coldly. It alright to kill pirates, but can you guarantee that someone who enjoys such large-scale cold-blooded massacres won't swing his knife at civilians or other people in the future? Sengoku pointed at Akainu nose and reprimanded sternly. But in principle, there is no problem with Crocodile recent actions, and we have no appropriate reason to take action against him. Aokiji spoke again. But the more this happens, the more uneasy I feel. The sand crocodiles hiding in the desert are the most terrifying. Eden, Casino Royale. Kosa. This is about the selection system for the Kingdom Army elite troops. You should contact several generals immediately to start implementing it. The elites selected every month must be sent to Eden for training. Crocodile handed Kasha a stack of documents with a red seal and said. Kosa immediately obeyed the order and pushed the door open. We have 600,000 standing troops. Don't you think this number is not enough to defend the country? Vivi asked, resting her chin on her hand, in front of another slightly smaller desk. In this world, no matter how many ants there are, they cannot defeat an elephant. The fighting power of the Kingdom Army is too weak. They are not much stronger than ordinary civilians. And with such a huge military force, the annual military expenditure is an astronomical figure. Instead of doing this, it would be better to train a group of elites. This would make them more powerful and save a lot of military expenditures. Wouldn't it be better to use the money saved to improve people's livelihood? Crocodile replied without looking up as he signed his men documents. Why has no one else ever raised the questions you can think of? I really want to open your head and study the structure inside. Vivi muttered. Opening your boss head is not a good idea, Crocodile joked. HMPH. I have never considered you my boss. You are just a sinister uncle. Vivi snorted proudly. Uncle, haha. Crocodile couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly when he heard that. His real age was only 26 years old, so how come he became an uncle in this world? Well, just call me uncle from now on. After spending some time together, Crocodile became more tolerant of this girl. Hee, that what you said, uncle? Vivi seemed very satisfied with the title, and felt that the relationship between them was suddenly less blocked. Bulu bulu, bulu bulu. The den mushy suddenly rang. Boss, I am sorry, I am afraid I can no longer continue the task you assigned to me. Nico Robin's depressed voice came from the other end of the phone. Where are you now? What happened? Crocodile frowned immediately. After the Straw Hat Pirates and I arrived at Water 7. We were targeted by a group of scary guys, Nico Robin said with a trembling voice. When Crocodile heard Robin mention Water 7, he immediately thought that she must have been threatened by CP9. They are the most mysterious and terrifying organization in the world government, called CP9. They asked me to cooperate with them and obtain the construction drawings of the ancient weapon Pluto. Otherwise they would launch a demon-killing order against the Straw Hat Pirates. How do you choose? Crocodile asked. I made a deal with them to let the Straw Hat Pirates leave. What the reason? The time I spent with the Straw Hat Pirates was the happiest time of my life. They are all very nice, gentle people, and I don't want them to suffer any bad luck because of me. Nico Robin mind kept replaying every moment with Luffy and the others, her tone filled with an indescribable regret. Just like this, can you not care about your own life or death? Crocodile asked calmly. I am sorry, I really can't watch someone who treats me sincerely die in front of me again. Really, I am sorry. Nico Robin on the other end of the phone covered her face with her hands and burst into tears. When O'Hara was a child, he was ruthlessly bombarded by the Demon Slayer Order. The scene of Salon being frozen into an ice sculpture bit by Okiji seemed to be right in front of him. If this is your choice, I respect it. But there is one thing you must remember, Crocodile said in a deep voice. Robin stopped crying immediately after hearing this and waited quietly for Crocodile. Trust your partners. After hanging up the phone, Robin kept pondering what Crocodile said. Do you trust your partner? The enemy they are about to face is the extremely powerful world government. Choosing to believe is tantamount to pushing them into an abyss of no return. I will never do such a thing again. Nico Robin gritted her teeth and buried her head deeply in her knees, unable to hold back her tears. Bentham, ask Enel to come to my office. After hanging up the phone with Robin, Crocodile dialed another number again. Was that Nico Robin called just now? She seemed to be in trouble. Vivi asked curiously. Yes, the enemy she and the Straw Hat Pirates encountered this time is very scary. It a powerful agency belonging to the world government, Crocodile said in a calm tone. Then why don't you go save her? I remember that you think highly of Nico Robin, Vivi said with some concern. In fact, What really worried her were the friends in the Straw Hat Pirates. If the uncle can rescue Nico Robin, the crisis of the Straw Hat Pirates will naturally be resolved. Crocodile stood up, walked to the French window, and looked out at the blue sea. This incident is a huge test for both her and the Straw Hat Pirates. If it can be successfully passed, everyone will gain a valuable asset. What the point of having so much wealth when your life is almost gone? Vivi said unhappily. In this world, money is not the only wealth. Friendship, love, family affection, and beliefs that are worth sacrificing one life for are all very precious. Hearing Vivi's silly words, Hule couldn't help but laugh. But are you really not going to save her? It would be such a shame if such a beautiful and intelligent woman were ruined. Vivi continued to persuade without giving up. How could Crocodile not see the little tricks in her mind? You seem to be more anxious than I am. After all, we have worked together. Is there anything wrong with showing some concern for me? Vivi argued. Knock knock knock. Just then, there was a knock on the door. After getting permission, Bentham pushed the door and walked in, followed by Enel with a bitter look on his face. Zero-chan, what do you want from us? Bentham asked casually. Enel, I remember I told you not to create garbage in the nearby waters, but you seem to have ignored my words, Crocodile said to Enel with a gloomy face. Wait, boss, listen to my argument. No. Listen to my explanation. Those pirates were very cruel and threatened to kill all the people in Eden. I had no choice but to use heavy hands, Enel said in panic. Really, I think it necessary to go to the arena and compete with you again, Crocodile said viciously. I was wrong. I accept the punishment. There's no need for us to compete with each other, Enel said pitifully. If you use the Ark Proverbs to send Bentham to Judicial Island, I might change my mind. When Enel heard that he would not be beaten, he immediately raised his hand as if he had been pardoned and agreed. No problem at all. Judicial Island? Why send me there? Bentham asked puzzledly. Nicole Robin is in danger. You just need to go and make sure she can leave Judicial Island safely, Crocodile instructed seriously. Nicole Robin? Why did she go there? Judicial Island is the territory of the world government, Bentham asked in confusion. I assigned her an important mission, but now she has been captured and her life is in danger. I understand. Leave it to me, Bentham said, patting his chest. Bentham, before she really encounters a life and death crisis, don't expose yourself. Someone will save her. Just before Bentham was about to go out, Crocodile stopped him and gave him instructions. Without looking back, Bentham made an okay gesture and left with Enel. Turning around, Vivi seemed unhappy at this time, with worry written all over her face. Have you forgotten what I told Nico Robin before? Believe in your partners. Crocodile rubbed Vivi's head and said, but Luffy and those guys are always worrying, and you don't even let Bentham help them. Vivi said with some resentment, lowering her head. Humphrey, without going through some trials and tribulations, how can you sit on the throne of Pirate King? Don't underestimate the Straw Hat Pirates. They have the power to poke a hole in the sky. Crocodile snorted coldly. Really? Are they really that powerful? How did you know? Are they kidding me? Upon hearing this, Vivi immediately asked Crocodile a barrage of questions. Crocodile was stunned. How should he answer this? Tell Vivi that I have read the comics a long time ago. Oh, by the way, I suddenly remembered that there is something important that I haven't dealt with yet. I have to go there quickly. Bye. Crocodile didn't give Vivi any chance to react. He made a lame excuse, turned into sand and flew out of the window. Vivi stared at Crocodile in a daze as he fled the scene in one go. It took her a while before she reacted and she screamed madly. Uncle Bastard, come back here. After leaving the office, Crocodile flew straight to the suburbs dozens of kilometers away, where he had designated an industrial zone and a new project led by Valpo was being built. Crocodile flew over the industrial area and looked down. It could clearly see that one of the toy factories had already started operations. He had visited it before and saw several complete assembly lines inside. The idea was proposed by Crocodile. The machines were designed and manufactured by Valpo, and the main framework of the factory was completed by Gardino. Not far from this factory, Another weapons manufacturing plant also began construction. Crocodile found Valpo and Gardino in a makeshift candle house. The two were discussing something with a few other strangers while looking at a blueprint, and they didn't even notice Crocodile coming in. No, a burst rifle designed like this has a very fast firing rate, but its power is too small. It can only cause harm to ordinary people. It is difficult for anyone with some strength to pose a threat to them, Gardino said thoughtfully. What about the other firearms designed by the boss? Valpo asked after a moment consideration. I have to say that your boss idea for firearms is simply genius, especially this new bullet design. It is not only fast, but also causes terrible damage, a bald middle-aged man said, pointing to the sharp-shaped bullet on the drawing. The only drawback is that the manufacturing process of this type of bullet is relatively complicated, and it cannot be used with existing firearms. Supply is a big problem, another slightly younger man said with some regret. You don't have to worry about these problems, just perfect their designs and then conduct a large number of tests so that these guns can be mass-produced. Crocodile, who had been listening for a long time, suddenly spoke up. Boss, why are you here? Valpo and Gardino said in unison with a flattering look on their faces. It okay, I just came over to take a look, don't worry about me, just continue your discussion. Crocodile waved his hand casually. How can that be possible? The boss can design such an exquisite weapon, which is simply amazing, Gardino complimented. That right. An expert like the boss should give more guidance to us ignorant people. Walpo followed closely without giving in. You two guys are getting better and better at flattering others. Crocodile raised his finger helplessly and pointed at the two of them. I am not an expert. I just draw some ideas in my head. But if I really start to draw, I am completely clueless. Just go ahead and do it with confidence. If you have any difficulties or needs, please let me know. I will do my best to provide support, Crocodile said calmly. Boss, there is indeed one difficulty, Valpo said hesitantly. Just say it. If we want to mass-produce weapons, the electricity here may not be able to meet the demand. The question raised by Valpo immediately made Crocodile frown. This is indeed a big problem. The power supply equipment here is still very backward and it is barely enough to meet Eden needs. If the problem is not solved quickly, many of his ideas will be difficult to realize. I understand. I will come up with a solution as soon as I get back. Crocodile nodded. Eden, Pier. Welcome all distinguished guests from Elusia, please gather here. A girl with an attractive figure and sweet looks, wearing a gauze skirt characteristic of Alabasta, kept waving a small flag in her hand and shouted in a tender voice. The men who got off the boat were all attracted by this hot body and wished their eyes could penetrate the thin gauze dress. Little girl, are you the only one serving us waffle? Butler Dude said with a gloomy face and dissatisfied tone. His master was the leader of this tour group. He had clearly contacted the Alabasta officials before, but he didn't expect that he would be so ignored. Sir, my name is Ina. I am only responsible for taking you to the hotel to check in. There will be someone there to provide services for you, Ina said with a gentle smile. Humphrey, there are many people of noble status among the dozens of us. How could the officials of your country be so negligent? Don't they take our kingdom of Elusia seriously? Dude said angrily. Sir, we provide the best quality service to all tourists who come to Eden, without any distinction of high or low, Ina said, her expression unchanged. What? How dare you? Okay dude, just follow the local customs and don't forget the purpose of our trip. Waffle interrupted the angry dude, showing his good upbringing as a gentleman. Okay, sir. Dude quickly straightened his face and bowed. Then please trouble this beautiful lady to show us the way. Waffle smiled very gentlemanly. Dear guests, your luggage can be checked in the baggage area. Everyone else please follow me and take Alabasta unique means of transportation, the banana crocodile, to the hotel. Ina pointed to a row of huge crocodiles lying not far ahead. As everyone's eyes turned following the girl guidance, they immediately let out exclamations. Are you kidding me? Such a terrifying creature can be used for riding. I dare not sit down. What if I am eaten? This is terrifying. Is there nothing else to sit on? Don't be afraid, These banana crocodiles have long been domesticated by the locals. They are very gentle, and their mouths are tied with chains. They are not dangerous at all. Ina quickly ran to the crocodile, patted its head hard and explained. The crocodile was not angry. It made a woo sound from its mouth and raised its head to rub the girl's arm. Everyone couldn't help but marvel at it. Waffle was also a man who had seen the world. He was very interested in this new thing and was the first to get on the seat carried by the crocodile. When the others saw that the big guy had sat on it, they had to bite the bullet and climb up even though they were scared. The banana crocodile was not fast, but it crawled very steadily. After walking for a while, everyone felt relieved and began to observe the surrounding environment. It a waste to build such a wide road. 10 carriages can run side by side without feeling crowded. I can only say that people in this country are stupid and have a lot of money. As soon as he finished speaking, a burst of dense da sounds suddenly came from behind him. When everyone turned around, they saw a huge crab, several times larger than the banana crocodile, running wildly on the road. Help! What kind of monster is this? Run faster! Crocodile seeking is catching up with us, Mom. I want to go home. This city is too scary. It okay, don't panic. This is a moving crab, a creature that specializes in carrying luggage for everyone. It won't hurt anyone. Ina comforted with a hopeless look. The moving crab was very fast and soon arrived next to the crocodile convoy. In addition to the 3 loaders, its back was full of luggage. When the crab saw the beautiful and sexy Ina, it immediately showed a lustful expression and refused to move forward. The worker on its back had no choice but to skillfully cover its eyes with a cloth, allowing the big guy to get back on the road. After watching the giant crab leave, the people walking forward could already see the outline of the city of Eden in the distance. The buildings here are so magnificent. It looks like any one of them is taller than the tallest house in our country. You must have never been to Marijoa. The buildings there are even more spectacular than this. You must be joking. That where the celestial dragons live. How can this place be compared to Marijoa? Hey, little girl, why are there so many statues in the square over there? Especially that huge crocodile. Does it have any special meaning? One of them asked curiously, pointing to a group of statues in the front right. Have you heard of the giant crocodile pirate? Sina did not answer directly, but asked a question instead. I know. This pirate group made the headlines a while ago for robbing a small country. They are very brutal. Yes, their captain, the giant crocodile Gad, has a bounty of over 200 million. But he is a powerful figure. I heard that this guy crushed the bones of a rear admiral and ate him alive. He is totally inhumane. Everyone was talking about this notorious pirate group, with fear on their faces. 2 weeks ago, it was this group of vicious pirates that invaded our city, Ina continued. Then what? There must be a lot of damage here, right? Did a lot of people die then? A big shot in Eden took action and easily captured all the bad guys. He made them all into wax figures, so that the city was not harmed at all. When Ina said this, pride was written all over her face. Haha, I don't believe it. Stop bragging. How could one person defeat such a powerful pirate group? I am dying of laughter. How could these pirates just stand there and be made into wax figures? If you don't believe it, you can take a closer look, but be prepared before you go over there. It might be a little scary. When Ina heard everyone's doubts, she neither got angry nor refuted, but reminded them, come on, I will definitely expose your bluff. A group of people got off the crocodiles and walked towards the wax figure in groups. The carving of these wax figures is really amazing. Each one is lifelike. TSK, fake is fake. Look at this one. It even painted. But their expressions are also terrified, and they look quite cautious. Knock, knock, knock. Someone knocked on a wax figure curiously, and a hollow sound was heard. It seems to be hollow. Could there really be someone inside? The man took a few steps back in fear. Do you smell a strange odor here? Yes, I smelled it too. It was like something rotting. No, it can't be a corpse, someone said tremblingly. How is that possible? Maybe some small animal died nearby. Why are we making such a fuss? One person said nonchalantly. and slapped the wax figure of the giant crocodile that was roaring towards the sky twice. At this moment, a dull howl filled with despair and begging came from the crocodile body. The man screamed in fear, fell to the ground and pointed at the giant crocodile with trembling hands. He is still alive. Everyone around heard the noise just now, and now no one doubted Ina's words anymore. These were clearly wax figures made of living people, and the stench they smelled was definitely that of corpses. Many people started vomiting on the spot, and more people fled the place in a hurry, as if this was hell. Miss Ina, why did the statue make a sound just now? Wafu, who had been sitting on the diotai, could no longer suppress his curiosity and asked Ina. Let me tell you, this giant crocodile Gad is a person who has eaten the ancient animal species, the fish fruit, and has the ability to form a prehistoric giant crocodile. His vitality is very strong, and he can survive for a long time even without food or water. When Huafu heard this, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. If what this little girl said was true, then the people behind this city were too cruel. Killing more than 1,000 people is not scary. What is scary is that one can seal more than 1,000 living people in candles so cold-bloodedly. Let them feel the passing of life bit by bit in despair, and then die in endless darkness and pain. Waffles couldn't help but put aside his previous contempt. He came here to make money, so he must not mess up and lose his life here. A group of people who went to verify the lie climbed onto the banana crocodile in a hurry and headed back to the city. The closer they got to the city of Eden, the more amazed these noble lords from Elusha became. Although the buildings in this city are mostly Alabasta-style dome houses, but the simple and elegant lines of these buildings, coupled with the unified color scheme of gold and brick red, look very noble and majestic, giving people the illusion that they are in a palace. The shops and restaurants along the street all have large floor-to-ceiling windows, through which you can clearly see the merchandise inside and the customers' every move, making people want to go in and shop. The streets were crowded with cars, and all kinds of strange vehicles were moving forward in an orderly manner. At every intersection, there were policemen in yellow uniforms directing traffic. The business delegation from Elusha arrived at their destination, Eden Royal Holiday Hotel, while talking all the way. As the landmark building of Eden, the design of this building is even more astonishing. The exterior of the building, which is over 50 meters high, is covered with dark blue glass, like an extremely huge gem, sparkling in the sunlight. Everyone craned their necks to look at the building, their mouths wide open for a long time. I have never seen such a gorgeous building. Are we going to stay here for the next few days? It looks much more luxurious than the palace in Elusha. It must have cost a lot of money to build a building like this. The inspection team from Elusha was given a 5-star rating by professionals. You will all enjoy the best service throughout your visit to Eden, and the hotel is of course arranged according to the highest standards. Ina explained patiently to everyone. These noble lords were like bumpkins. They were shocked by Eden City construction and were a little breathless at first. They did not expect to be given a 5-star rating. Everyone immediately became delighted and felt extremely proud. It seems that Alabasta still values our kingdom of Elusha very much. Waffles couldn't help but nodded with satisfaction. As soon as the crocodile convoy arrived in front of the hotel, more than a dozen doormen in neat uniforms and with warm smiles were waiting on the roadside, carefully helping the guests off the crocodiles. The hotel manager, dressed in a neat suit, came in person to greet and check in the guests. Entering the hotel lobby, the first thing you see is a dazzling oversized crystal chandelier. Even a business tycoon like Waffles couldn't help but gasp and was blinded by the bright lights. With his feet stepping on the extremely soft carpet, Waffle looked down and was once again shocked speechless. This carpet is handmade from the wool of a rare golden fine wool sheep, and he has one at home. It cost him 10 million Baileys to cover just 8 square meters, and the area he was standing on was over 1,000 square meters. This made him sigh at the wealth of the hotel owner, and he walked more carefully from then on. After completing the check-in procedures, Everyone went to their respective rooms under the guidance of the hotel private butler. The suite arranged for Waffle was the highest and supreme suite. The decoration and furnishings inside are simple yet luxurious, even making Waffle feel that his own mansion is no different from a slum compared to here. Waffle sat on the big bed covered with golden bedding with a somewhat numb expression, and sank into it, feeling extremely comfortable. What he saw and heard along the way constantly refreshed his worldview. Having lived for over 50 years, he had never imagined that a city could be designed like this. The people behind this city are not simple. Such a large investment without regard for cost must be fishy. My previous plan was a bit hasty. Let me observe first. Waffle thought with a frown. Knock, knock, knock. Sir, you must be hungry. The people here said that the restaurant downstairs provides free and unlimited food, and it very delicious. Why don't we go and have a look? The butler dude suddenly knocked on the door and asked outside. How good can something free be? Waffle said with a sullen face as he opened the door. But he was indeed a little hungry. After sailing for a few days, he had had enough of the food on the ship. Let go and have a look. If it not good, we can go somewhere else to eat. Led by their private butler, the two came to the restaurant on the 24th floor. Even though Waffle had prepared himself mentally, he could only remain silent after entering. The spacious hall of several thousand square meters was now filled with guests in luxurious attire. There is a pretty waitress standing at each table to serve the guests. The table in the center of the hall was filled with all kinds of exquisitely and colorfully shaped snack cakes, fruits and seafood. Towards the inside, there are dozens of windows covered with transparent glass. Above each window were signs displaying regional delicacies for guests to choose from, and Waffles even saw a Lucia name among them. Waffle took a deep breath and chose a table by the window. A pretty young girl with a youthful face hurried to the table, asked about his likes and dislikes, and recommended specialties from several countries. While waiting for the food, Waffle lit a cigar and looked out the window. The whole city was in sight. The magnificent buildings with unique shapes made his heart surge, especially one of the strange buildings that seemed to be made of pure gold, which made him want to find out more. I am now more and more curious about the people behind this city. Waffle said, Master, I just had a brief chat with the private butler here. According to him, the city was invested and built by a company called Baroque Tourism Development Company. The boss behind this company is most likely one of the 7 warlords of the sea, Crocodile. Dude whispered in Waffle ear. Crocodile. Waffle mouth suddenly opened as if his throat was strangled, and even his cigar fell on the table. Forget it. Go tell the others that we should just treat this trip as a trip. If we cause trouble in the territory of such a big pirate, we might end up being made into wax figures and placed in the square. Waffle picked up the cigar on the table and took a puff silently, then gave up his plans in Eden. Having been in the business world for many years, he knew very well that even if normal business methods were used, if these brutal criminals were angered, the other party would not listen to any rules or reason with you. In the worst case, your wealth will be lost, and in the worst case, you will lose your head. Dude took the order and left. Soon the food was on the table. Waffle looked at the table full of delicious-looking food, but he had no appetite at all. He ate a few bites casually, then left the hotel with a few bodyguards and walked to the nearby commercial center. As soon as we entered the mall, the receptionist politely handed each person a number plate with a purple pattern, which was said to be used for settlement. Putting aside all the conspiracies and simply touring the city as a tourist, Waffle had a different feeling. As a businessman, he can clearly feel that there are business opportunities everywhere here. Goods from all over the world were arranged according to their characteristics in a novel way that he had never seen before. They were not randomly stacked like in other places, which made people want to buy them at first sight. He had come into contact with many of the products before, and some were even from his company. The prices of these things are much higher than other places. However, the discount signs posted everywhere, as well as the slogan of "Get 5,000 for free if you spend 10,000, all reveal a psychological implication. If you buy, you are getting a bargain, and if you don't sell, you are losing out. Waffle saw many wealthy ladies along the way. After entering a store, He would pack up everything he liked without asking the price. Even in his own heart, there was an irrepressible desire that was constantly aroused. Finally, when he passed by a men's clothing store, he saw an exquisite suit hanging in the window. He couldn't control himself and bought the suit. The price tag on it was 1.2 million Baileys. After buying this dress, it was like opening the Pandora box in Waffle Heart, and the crazy desire to shop was instantly aroused. In addition, shopping here requires centralized payment at the checkout counter, so at first he would look at the prices and occasionally hesitate. Later on, he even had an illusion that the things here were free and he could just take whatever he liked and leave. It was not until there were so many things that the two bodyguards could no longer carry them that Waffle realized that he had bought too much today and hurried to pay the bill. After handing the checkout number plate to the smiling cashier, I heard her pleasant voice soon. "Sir, your total spending today is 43 million Baileys. According to the mall promotion today, the total discount for you is 11 million Baileys. You only need to pay 32 million Baileys. Here is your shopping receipt. Please keep it." "How much?" 43 million Baileys. Waffle was surprised and sweat broke out on his forehead. Even though he was wealthy, he had never been so crazy in his life and bought so many things at once. But for such a huge amount of consumption, the amount of the discount is also staggering. Even he, who is knowledgeable about the business, felt a little frightened. If it were someone else, they would inevitably think that the people here have a problem with their brains. They would definitely not be able to make any money from such a large discount, and they were clearly taking advantage. This shouldn't be the case. Why did I suddenly become so irrational? Is it really because the products and business model here are too attractive? Waffle frowned and thought, "Are you going to buy or not? Why are you so slow to pay the bill if you don't have money? Don't come here to pretend to be rich. Don't you see there are so many people queuing behind you?" A plump lady waiting at the back shouted dissatisfiedly. Waffle finally woke up, took the suitcase from the bodyguard, and with some pain took out dozens of thick stacks of Bailey and handed them over. Since he bought so many things, the mall thoughtfully arranged a delivery truck for him to deliver the goods directly to the hotel where he was staying. As Waffle walked, he carefully studied the list on the receipt, but he couldn't figure it out. This shopping trip seemed reasonable in every way, but it was a bit weird when you thought about it carefully. However, after returning to Blue, he can also copy this model completely because it seems to be really profitable. The group was a little tired after walking on the street, so Waffle tried to stop a banana crocodile with his hand, but he didn't expect the crocodile to actually stop. The driver got off the car enthusiastically and helped them up. Along the way, Waffles asked the driver all kinds of questions like a curious baby, and the driver patiently answered them one by one. The driver described the city vividly. Every building was novel, making people feel as if they were there and they wanted to visit all over the city immediately. When Waffles asked about a golden building in the city, the driver immediately became excited and told him how his friend took hundreds of thousands of Baileys into the Royal Casino and made tens of millions overnight. Not only did he marry a beautiful wife, he also bought a small villa in the city. He looked so happy as if half of the money was given to him. "Let's go to the Casino Royale." Waffle waved his hand and said heroically. When everyone entered the casino, they saw a sign hanging next to the chip exchange area that read, "Exchange 10,000 and get 10,000 for free, no upper limit." When he got here, Waffle immediately became calm and confident. He loves gambling and is always victorious at the table. It can even be said that gambling made him rich because he ate a devil fruit when he was young. This fruit cannot change his body, nor can it make him have strong fighting power. It only has one ability, which is to allow him to see through things. This ability is simply invincible when used at the gambling table. It was not until he won too much in a casino in the Shabao archipelago and nearly lost his life that he restrained himself and turned to business. He didn't plan to win too much this time in the Royal Casino. He just wanted to get back the money he had earned from previous shopping and make a small profit to avoid angering the local tyrants. "Exchange it for 50 million Baileys in chips for me." Waffles asked the bodyguard to count out 50 million Baileys and handed them over. "Okay, sir, according to our store promotion. The chips here are 100 million Baileys. Please hold on to this bracelet. If you lose it, you won't be able to cash in the chips you won." The clerk handed Waffle a bracelet with a gold tag on it on his face. "Hold it. Don't lose it." Waffle casually threw the bracelet to the bodyguard. Entering the lobby of the Royal Casino, even though Waffles had seen the luxury of the Royal Holiday Hotel, he was still shocked by the extravagance here. There are decorations wrapped in gold everywhere, and the walls are covered with world-famous paintings. Waffles, who is a collector, can easily tell that most of them are authentic. Each gambler is accompanied by a beautiful waitress in a hot uniform. Some were wearing pink nurse uniforms, some were wearing black and white sailor uniforms, some were wearing bikinis, and some were wearing princess dresses. Each one was gorgeous and had its own unique style, which was a feast for the eyes. "Excuse me, sir. Do you have any special requirements for the maid to accompany you?" the waiter asked politely. "I like plump ones, but not fat ones." "Do you understand what I mean?" Waffle said with shining eyes, staring at the beauties in the venue. "You are absolutely guaranteed to be satisfied," the waiter said in a look that all men understand. After Waffle came in, he was not in a hurry to play at the table. While looking at these beauties, he was also observing the gamblers here. Most people were dressed lavishly and looked either rich or noble. The strange thing is that there were quite a few guys in strange costumes among them, clearly pirates, which made Waffle frown. "Ha ha ha ha, I won the bet. These 500 million Baileys are all mine." "Follow me, guys. Let's go somewhere else and have some fun." A one-eyed pirate wearing a cap laughed crazily, stood up, and danced to take the chips on the table into his arms. "HMPH, idiot, do you think you can leave safely after winning so much money?" Waffle sneered with some disdain. Then he saw the sexy female companion in a bikini standing next to the pirate, laughing and whispering something in his ear. The pirate, who had stood up and was about to leave, changed his mind and sat down again. "Ha ha ha ha, baby, you are right. I am so lucky today. Why not win a little more before I leave?" As he said this, he stuffed a few large chips between the girl's alluring breasts with a lewd smile on his face, and then squeezed her perky buttocks hard a few times, causing the girl to let out a cry of reluctance. Waffles watched all this coldly, but he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. The beauty trap was just a common tactic used in casinos. But why is this pirate willpower so weak? His desires are easily controlled by others, like a puppet. But when the pirate sat down again, the dealer at the gambling table left on the pretext of something, and was replaced by a strange man decorated with green frogs from head to toe. His strange appearance caused ridicule and mockery from the gamblers at the table, but he kept smiling and didn't seem to care at all. Waffles immediately understood that this was the casino top player taking action, and the gamblers at that table would lose all their money. As Waffle expected, from the moment that strange man took charge of the gambling game, except for a few small losses in the middle, the game has been winning all the time. The pirates' chips at the table were decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Several people were so angry that they kept shouting and cursing. Sometimes they threatened to smash the place, and sometimes they even shouted that they wanted to kill people. However, except for a few ordinary-looking staff members in black suits who moved slightly closer to this side, no one else in the casino reacted, and everything went on as usual. After watching for a while, Waffle felt that he had a general idea of the casino operations, so he decided to enter and walked towards a table for betting on big or small. This kind of gambling method is the simplest for someone of his ability, and he doesn't even need to use his brain. However, when he stood in front of the table, his expression suddenly changed drastically. He felt weak all over, and his abilities could not be activated at all. Huafu took a few steps back and observed the ground covertly. He discovered that the ground where he had just stood was inlaid with countless tiny green gravel, and even the edge of the gambling table had a lot of them hidden. Waffle collar was immediately soaked with cold sweat. How could he not understand that these tiny pieces of gravel were clearly sea stones used specifically to restrain people with special abilities? "Brother, why don't you play if you don't know how? Allah can teach you." At this moment, Waffle suddenly felt his arms being embraced, and two huge, warm and soft bodies pressed tightly against his sides. When Huafu looked back, he saw a young girl with a cute and childish face, a slim figure, but very big breasts, looking at him with an innocent smile. Waffle swallowed hard. The people here understood him too well. There was absolutely nothing about this girl that did not meet his aesthetic standards. Alela, standing proudly, even the name is so appropriate. The most amazing thing was the word brother, which made this uncle in his 50s feel rejuvenated and his heart beat fast. Well, yes, I really am not very good at it. The old driver, who had seen countless women, stuttered for a moment. Brother, let me tell you, this game is actually very simple. You just need to guess the total number of the dice in the dice cup. If it more than half, it's big, and if it less than half, it's small. Then place your chips on your guess, and that it. Ella put her pink-red lips close to Waffle's ear and spoke. The girl warm breath blew into his ears. The two soft balls fit him more and more closely, and bursts of elegant fragrance entered his nose. This seemingly unintentional temptation made Huafu's mouth dry and his lower abdomen a little hot. Little Huafu, who had not achieved anything for many years, actually showed signs of gaining momentum. And brother, let me tell you a secret. Wearing that golden hand card will bring you good luck. Okay, then I will bet big this time. Waffle's mind was in a mess. He even forgot that he couldn't use his superpowers. He took the golden hand card from the bodyguard and put it on. Then he picked up a handful of chips and threw them on the stage. 4, 5, 6. The dealer shouted loudly and enthusiastically. Oh yeah, a brother is so awesome. Ella, who was holding Waffle's arm, jumped up happily and kissed him on the face. Two huge water balls kept rubbing Waffle's arm up and down, and little Waffle immediately stood up with his head held high. One more, Ella shouted happily. Waffle had completely forgotten to refuse. With a flushed face, he put his arm around Ella's slender waist and said, "Don't just say 1, 10 will do." Ever since he acquired the ability of clairvoyance, he had never experienced this kind of exciting feeling in a casino again. What more, with such a beautiful woman who he thought was perfect by his side, winning or losing was no longer within his consideration. The last thing he lacked now was money. Give me the chips, give me another 10 million Baileys. No, just 1 million will do. I can definitely make a comeback. I can win back everything I lost just now. There was a sudden commotion in the casino. Everyone turned around and saw that it was the pirate who had just won 500 million berries, now shouting like a madman. Several pirates in the same group as the one-eyed pirate, seeing their captain making trouble, also started to clamor. One of them even pulled out a gun and pointed it at the dealer at the other end of the table. "Hurry up and send the chips over, or we will kill someone." The men in suits who had just approached came over with gloomy faces. One of them said calmly, "Gentlemen, if you want to continue playing, this casino can provide high-quality loan services. This casino and the city arena have a cooperative service. If you win 3 games in a row in the arena, your debts below 100 million Baileys will be forgiven. If you win 10 games in a row, you can even get a bonus of 1 billion Baileys." The one-eyed pirate ignored him and yelled with red eyes, "What a rubbish loan, what a bullshit arena, I don't want any of it." I will say it again. Take out your chips. Upon hearing this, the pirate holding the gun quickly loaded the bullet, walked directly to the strange man in the frog suit, and pointed the gun at the other head. But the strange dealer showed no fear at all, and even smiled brighter. He, when you point a gun at someone's head, you have to be prepared to fight for your life. What weird bullshit are you talking about?" The gun-wielding pirate was frightened by the other laughter, and he pushed the muzzle of the gun against the other head again. "Point the gun." The frogman uttered 2 words, and everyone in the field saw his body tremble slightly, and the gun in the pirate hand suddenly fell to the ground. An expression of disbelief appeared on his face. He then reached out a hand and touched his neck, only to find his hands were covered in blood. The pirate covered his neck with one hand and pointed at the frogman with the other. His mouth was moving, but he could only make a ho-ho-ho sound. What I meant just now was that if you point a gun at someone's head, It could kill them, the frogman said with a grin and narrowed his eyes. Then, the pirate fell face first to the floor, and screams and cries were heard in the arena. "Bastard, what did you do to my men?" asked the one-eyed pirate in a trembling voice. Having sailed on the sea for many years, he could clearly feel that the smiling frogman in front of him was very strong, much stronger than him with a bounty of 30 million berries. Such a capable person actually stayed in a casino as a dealer with peace of mind, and the other staff members looked as if they were used to it. The one-eyed pirate heart sank to the bottom. He only vaguely saw a shadow of how the other party had made his move just now. If he encountered the same situation himself, he would not be able to react in time and would suffer the same fate. The frogman waved to the staff in suits nearby, and two of them came over and easily lifted the pirate off the ground. "Hee, what do you think, Mr. Pirate? Are you considering taking out a loan now, or going to the arena to have some fun?" the frogman asked again with a chuckle. I, can I leave here?" the one-eyed pirate said in a trembling voice. "Oh, what a regrettable choice." The frogman immediately looked sad. When the one-eyed pirate heard him say that, the little brother between his legs suddenly felt the urge to pee. He once said something similar to someone else, and in the end he shot that person in the head and threw him into the sea. This time he actually heard someone say this to him, and the overwhelming fear made his legs so weak that he could hardly stand. "If you don't want to play, you can leave. This casino will not make things difficult for any peace-loving guests. By the way, your friend has been sent to the Magnetic Drum Hospital. The doctors there are very skilled, but the fees are a little expensive." The frogman suddenly turned back into a smiling face and said. When the one-eyed pirate heard the other party say this, he immediately felt as if he had been pardoned, and all the bones in his body felt lighter. "Thank you. Thank you. I will leave right away." After quickly bowing to express his gratitude, he fled the casino. There was a small incident just now, which disturbed the elegant mood of our distinguished guests. "Our casino is giving everyone an extra 1 million Bailey's worth of chips. We hope you can have fun after dealing with the previous troublemaker." The frogman spoke loudly to the guests in the venue. The gamblers suddenly became excited and threw themselves back into the game as if nothing had happened. Waffle witnessed everything that had just happened not far away, and kept sighing in his heart that this casino was so generous and flawless. At this moment, Waffle noticed that at the edge of the other side of the hall, there were several people with extremely eye-catching appearances walking towards the depths of the casino. The leader was tall, with a cigar in his mouth and a shiny slicked-back hair. Even in such a hot climate, he is still wearing a thick black coat. "Isn't this the 7 warlords of the sea?" Crocodile Huafu's heart began to beat wildly. He didn't expect to see such a big shot here. He didn't feel excited at all when he saw the Tanlong people back then. "Should I go up and say hello and introduce myself? If I could be appreciated by such a big shot, the wealth I would gain would be incomparable to the small amount of money I won from the casino. However, I heard that these pirates are very cruel. If I offend them, will I be killed?" However, Huafu was in a dilemma for only 2 seconds before his desire for wealth overcame death and the beautiful woman beside him. He broke free from the beauty arms and quickly chased after her. "Wait a minute, Master Crocodile!" Waffle shouted hurriedly when he saw several people about to enter the elevator. Several people stopped in confusion upon hearing the sound. One of them, a dark-skinned bald strong man, stretched out his hand to stop Huafu and asked in a cold tone, "What the matter?" Waffles became more and more nervous due to the opponent's powerful aura. When he smiled at the big shot in front of him, the fat on his face kept shaking. "Lord Crocodile, I am a merchant from the kingdom of Illusia. After coming to Eden, I was delighted by everything here, especially the unique business model here. It really opened my eyes. It all genius ideas." When talking about business, Waffles suddenly became excited, completely forgetting his previous nervousness. "Skip the useless flattery and tell me your purpose directly, Illusia," the pirate asked expressionlessly. "Purpose? What purpose could I have? I just want to make friends with you, but I haven't made up my mind yet." "You asked me so suddenly, How can I answer you? Waffles didn't expect that this big shot didn't play by the rules at all and spoke so directly. He couldn't help but shout wildly in his heart. Purpose is that the purpose? Waffles stuttered. And suddenly an idea flashed in his mind. My goal is to replicate Eden business model throughout the world. I believe that this business model will be enthusiastically sought after by people wherever it goes. I hope to reach a deep cooperation with Master Crocodile. Waffle noticed that the man was obviously stunned for a moment, and then he showed an interested expression. Ha. Quite interesting. Let go to my office upstairs and talk. Tell me what you think specifically. Crocodile leaned back in his chair with some relaxation. Wafu sat on the sofa, sweating profusely, with his legs tightly together and his hands on his knees. After organizing his thoughts, he spoke slowly and nervously. My idea is to start a company with you and replicate the business model here in other countries. I can guarantee the funding and construction. Your Excellency only needs to provide a mature plan. It would be even better if it can provide a certain degree of armed protection. Crocodile paused for a moment and then said, my business model costs an astronomical amount of money. How can I believe that you have enough strength? You can rest assured about this, my lord. Although the land area of my Alusha kingdom is not as vast as Alabasta, but as a country where everyone is a businessman, our wealth is far beyond what Alabasta can compare to, and we also have a global business alliance made up of businessmen from more than 100 countries. We don't have to worry about money at all. Having said that, Waffle straightened his back, showing strong self-confidence. Very good, but I have one condition. I can own less shares. Only 40% is enough, but the management and decision-making rights must be controlled by my people. You only retain the right to dividends and supervise accounts. Do you have any objection to this? Crocodile told the other party his thoughts frankly. The conditions proposed were not overly harsh, because the appearance of Waffle gave him deeper ideas. With the help of these nobles and wealthy businessmen, he expanded his business empire to the whole world, so that he could easily place his own agents in various countries and do it in a very secretive manner. If that the case, then wouldn't the risk we take be too great? Waffle said hesitantly. Do you think that the reason why this city business is so booming is just because of its business model? You are too naive. The hidden means in it are not something that a mortal like you can easily see through. Crocodile snorted coldly. Waffles couldn't help but frown when he heard this. He was a pure businessman and it was impossible for him to give away his money just because of a few words from the other party. He had no management and decision-making power at all, so it was difficult for him to agree to such conditions. Wait, what the hidden meaning? Waffle expression suddenly froze as he thought of something terrible. When I was shopping before, although I am a very rational and restrained person, I don't know why I couldn't control myself as soon as I entered the mall, and I wanted to buy everything I saw. Even someone like him is like this. If it were an ordinary person, it would probably be even more difficult for him to control himself. There is also the gambler in the casino who was easily persuaded, and the golden card that the female companion hinted him to take with him. These strange events gradually soaked Waffle back with cold sweat. Could this be the hidden means behind what Crocodile said? Lord Crocodile, this matter is too important. Could you please allow me to go back and discuss it with other partners? Waffle said cautiously. Okay, Crocodile said calmly. After leaving the casino, Waffles quickly returned to the hotel and gathered his business partners to discuss this important matter. Unexpectedly, during the mobilization process, many people were unwilling to come back and lingered in the various facilities in Eden. It was not until the evening that everyone was barely gathered together. Everyone has spent a day in Eden. Tell us about your feelings. What do you think of this city? Waffle asked, suppressing his anger. It's a paradise-like city. As long as you have money, this is the perfect paradise. The bath center here is so comfortable. The technicians are all top-notch and can make me forget all my worries. I have never been so crazy about shopping. I feel like I want to empty them all here. But after shopping, I feel that I don't need to buy so many things. The fighting in the arena looks exciting. Those who participate in the fighting look like pirates, but they are all fearless and will fight to the death to kill the opponent even if they lose their hands and feet. I placed a lot of bets, but unfortunately I lost them all in the end. The casino is great too. I won a lot of money at the beginning, but unfortunately I was too greedy and lost it all in the end. Everyone present vividly described their experiences of the day. They had spent a lot of money without realizing it, but they had no resistance and instead enjoyed it very much. After listening to everyone's words, Waffle became more and more certain that the means behind what Crocodile said was the key to the prosperity of this city. But what exactly was the reason that made everyone become out of control? Waffle thought about it for a whole day and only got a few clues. But in the end, Waffle gradually felt relieved. How could the other party easily tell him such an important business secret? Perhaps after they work together in the future, he will be able to master the secret. Everyone, I gathered you all together today to tell you that I met the real owner behind this city today. At the same time, I discussed with him the idea of moving this city business model to countries around the world. Waffle said in a deep voice, "Who is the real master? Do you know him?" I think everyone here must have heard of the name Crocodile. He is a real big shot, Waffle explained. Oh my god, isn't this a notorious pirate? You don't really want to work with someone like that, do you? Cooperating with pirates is like seeking the skin of a tiger. Are you sure he won't harm you? That right? Even if he is a powerful Shichibuchi, if ordinary people like us cooperate with him, we might be devoured to the bone in the end. I understand your concerns very well. At first, I just had some impulsive thoughts. On the way back from meeting him, I was even a little scared. However, while I was waiting for you all, I learned more about this person through my personal intelligence channels. You may not know that this person has another identity. He is the Grand Archon of Alabasta. This country has been facing severe drought for the past 3 years. The people are living in poverty and there was even a rebellion some time ago. Until this man came along and not only stopped the rebellion, but also solved the country water shortage problem with his own strength. Among the people of Alabasta, Crocodile reputation and prestige far surpassed that of the old King Cobra, reaching an unprecedented height, and he is deeply loved by the citizens of this country. If he is such a person, can he get everyone recognition? Waffle asked confidently. Everyone present was a shrewd businessman, and it was impossible for them to easily believe Waffle's one-sided statement. After a brief whisper, they all took out their den mushi and tried to verify through their own information channels whether what Waffle said was true. Waffle was not in a hurry either. He tapped his fingers lightly on the table and waited quietly. It was not until several hours later that everyone gave a positive response, proving that what Waffle said was true. Since you said you want to cooperate, then how should we cooperate with him? We should at least draw up a charter, right? One of them asked. I have already had preliminary communication with Crocodile on this point. The two parties set up a new company, and we provided the funds and completed the construction. Crocodile guarantees a mature operational plan and a certain level of force protection, but his requirement is to own 40% of the shares, and the operating rights and decision-making rights must be controlled by his people. We can only get dividends, Waffle said expressionlessly. Ha 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 ha, what a joke. They want 40% of the shares without paying a penny, and they only want us to get dividends. Do they think we are fools? We might as well just give the money directly to him. This way it easier. Waffles, you are such a smart person, don't you think his request is reasonable? After hearing what Wafu said, everyone became excited instantly, with all kinds of weird remarks emerging one after another. But Waffle didn't seem to be panicked at all. He was very eager to make this deal. Being the richest man in Elusia is no longer enough to satisfy his ambition. If he can spread this business model all over the world, he may even become the richest man in the world. Don't be anxious, everyone. I called you all together because I want to discuss a plan that will be most beneficial to us. Waffle put his hands down to stop everyone's noise. First of all, the prospects of this business are very good. It even looks like a money-making business. I think everyone has no objection to this, right? Everyone present expressed their affirmation. They have all been in the business world for so many years, so how could they not see that the business here is simply a cash cow and a treasure pot? Everyone, Think back to today when you were touring around Eden City. Did you feel like you couldn't control your inner desires now that you put it that way? It true. Yeah. That's why I want to buy everything I see. I am not a big gambler, but I didn't expect it to be so big today. Is there something fishy going on here? Seeing everyone reaction, Waffle nodded with satisfaction. Yes, just as you all thought, there is indeed some hidden story behind it. That really why business is booming in this city. Crocodile also revealed this information very vaguely. Otherwise I wouldn't have told you all about it separately, Waffle said in a serious tone. Even if that the case, we can't agree to his conditions. That right. This is too passive. We will be strangled by him in the future and unable to resist. Yes, we must fight for our due rights so that cooperation can be achieved. Maybe we could form a board that would just have one more seat than they do. I second the motion that it is necessary to establish a board of directors. I second that. I second that. I second that. Very good. I also think that this proposal can well protect the rights of us investors. If no one else raises any objections, we will invite Crocodile here tomorrow to discuss future cooperation. Waffle slammed the table, setting a clear tone for the subsequent meeting. Casino Royale, top floor office. Vivi, what do you think of the cooperation proposed by the Illusions this time? Crocodile asked. What can a little girl like me know about cooperation? You, as the boss, just take care of it. Vivi turned her head and spoke in a stiff tone, not giving Crocodile any good look. It was obvious that she was still upset about Crocodile's last escape. Crocodile knew he was in the wrong, so he smiled bitterly and shook his head, then took out a beautifully packaged heart-shaped box from his desk drawer. This is a gift I put a lot of effort into preparing for you. Do you like it? Crocodile slowly pushed the small box in front of Vivi. Vivi pretended to glance at him casually out of the corner of her eye, then turned her head away reluctantly and said, "Don't think I can forgive you just by taking some small things." While saying this, his hand unconsciously reached for the box. Wow! The moment she opened the box, rays of light blue scattered out, making her exclaim in surprise. Good, so beautiful. I saw a transparent light blue heart-shaped gem lying quietly in the middle of the box. The entire gem was cut extremely delicately. The light from the room shone on it, and was then refracted repeatedly by the countless facets on the gem. The light it emitted was so dazzling that Vivi could hardly open her eyes. Let me try it on for you. Crocodile had come behind Vivi without her noticing, and said after picking up the gem from the box, any woman would be defenseless in front of shiny stones. This is something Crocodile understood in his previous life. Vivi let Crocodile put the gem on her slender white neck like a puppet. Crocodile fingertips occasionally brushed against her neck inadvertently, causing a blush to appear. Unfortunately, there is no mirror here, so I will have to ask you to look at yourself in the window first. Crocodile held Vivi's thin shoulders with both hands and asked her to turn around to face the window. The moment he touched her, he felt her body tremble slightly. A beautiful girl with a light blue ponytail and wearing a white dress is reflected in the window at night. The blue gem on her chest, which was very similar to the color of her hair, was dazzling, as if it was made especially for her. It really beautiful. Vivi covered her mouth and murmured, "Thank you, Uncle. This is my favorite gift I have ever received in my life." Vivi suddenly turned around, hugged Crocodile tightly, and buried her face deeply in her arms. This made Crocodile a little overwhelmed, so he patted Vivi's smooth and white back and whispered, "As long as you like it." But then, Vivi pushed him away again, looking up at Crocodile with a reproachful look on her face. "Since you are so sincere this time, I will reluctantly forgive you. If you leave me alone again next time, I will never talk to you again. I promise I won't do that again." Crocodile raised his hands in surrender. "By the way, what did you say about cooperation? How about you say it again?" "So you weren't listening to me at all?" Crocodile face froze. When a girl is angry, she has no intention of listening to your nonsense, Vivi said righteously with her hands on her hips. Crocodile was helpless but had no choice but to tell the story again. "I understand what you mean. The other party will definitely not easily agree to your conditions. The focus of the dispute between the two parties lies in the word power. Am I right?" Vivi gave the answer immediately after listening. "Not bad. Not bad. My efforts are not in vain. You learn very quickly. Crocodile rubbed the other head and praised sincerely. So, what your bottom line? Vivi rolled her eyes at Crocodile. My bottom line after studying with me for so long, I think you should be very clear about it. Crocodile looked at Vivi with burning eyes. Also, I will not show up for this negotiation. You will be the one taking the lead. This can be considered a test for you. I will take charge. Vivi pointed at her nose in surprise, and was obviously a little timid. Such a big business. What if I mess it up? Don't worry, go ahead and talk. If it's your turn, I can accept any outcome. Crocodile patted the other person's shoulder and encouraged him. Crocodile's unreserved trust made Vivi's heart burn with passion, and her eyes became more determined than ever before. I won't let you down. Eden, Royal Holiday Hotel Conference Hall. At 9:50 in the morning, the conference hall was already filled with business tycoons from Elusia, and everyone was whispering about the upcoming negotiations. A few minutes later, the tightly closed door of the conference room was suddenly pushed open, and more than a dozen men in black suits and with strong auras filed in. Then, a stunning beauty with long light blue hair, wearing a white suit, walked into the venue with a stern expression and her head held high in high heels. There were two dark-skinned men following behind him. One was very strong with a shaved head, and the other was tall with a funny afro. Who is this? Where Crocodile? Why didn't he come? Is this the person we are negotiating with today? What qualifications does a young girl have to talk to us? The venue suddenly became chaotic. The woman ignored everyone's comments and walked straight to the main seat at the conference table. Due to an emergency in the capital yesterday, Lord Crocodile, as the kingdom governor, has rushed to the capital overnight to handle it. Lord Crocodile has given me full authority for today's negotiations. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nefertari Vivi. I am the princess of the kingdom of Alabasta and the head of the Baroque Tourism Development Company. I don't know if I am qualified enough to sit down and have a discussion with you guys. Vivi spoke proudly and appropriately. For the first time in her life, she showed the demeanor of a royal princess in front of everyone. Huafu was originally very dissatisfied, but when the other party introduced himself, he knew that the other party was indeed qualified to talk to them, especially when he recognized that the two men following the princess were the same men who followed Crocodile that day. He lost his temper even more. However, it was a very beneficial thing for Crocodile to send such a young girl who was inexperienced in the world. Having experienced countless negotiations, and with the help of his friends who are also well versed in this, it is easy for him to capture a little girl. If Crocodile himself was sitting here, his breathtaking aura alone would have made them the natural weaker party from the start, and they would have had a hard time knowing where to start. Your Highness, the princess is naturally qualified to sit here. We are very sorry that we have no chance to meet Lord Crocodile again today, but we can only wait for him to come back and then visit him. Waffle said politely to Vivi. In that case, let's get started. The first topic is that Baroque Tourism Development Company and Four Seas Business Alliance will jointly establish a new company. Lord Crocodile suggested that we name it the New World Trading Company, which means opening a door to a new world for all customers. If you have any opinions, please let me know, Vivi said decisively. The Illusions sitting around the conference table whispered to each other and nodded to indicate that there was no problem. This name has a lot of meaning. We have no objection, Waffle said. Vivi nodded. Okay, the next item is about the equity ratio. As the investor and builder, the Sihai Business Alliance should have the majority. We believe that the 60 hours 40 minutes ratio is the most appropriate. If you have different opinions, you can raise them. In a dimly lit house, there were many square screens arranged in an orderly manner, showing real-time footage of every corner of Eden. Crocodile sat in front of one of the screens, a cigar between his lips, staring intently at the images coming from it. There was a denden mushi next to it, and Vivi's voice was coming out of its mouth. What an enviable talent! After only studying with me for such a short period of time, you have already mastered all the business knowledge I learned in my previous life. Crocodile looked at Vivi's confident face on the screen and couldn't help but sigh. Crocodile dared to let Vivi negotiate this project on his behalf, which was a decision he made after careful consideration. It was wealth that was delivered to him by others. He only needed to pay some knowledge to get it. It would be best if he could get more rights and shares, but he would not be unwilling to get less. His more important goal is to place his own people there, and use this as a foundation to take root and sprout all over the world until it grows into a behemoth that can shake the foundations of the world. With these wealthy or noble people in the Sahai Business Alliance protecting him from the wind and rain,